too late. All right, great. So Tails just froze there. So everyone, welcome back to the dojo.
You said, "Hey, you want to do the intro?"
All right, so this literally just happened. I was like, "Hey, man, you want to do the intro?" He's like, "Yeah, sure." I was like, "Click."
I didn't even say
and
yeah,
then
yeah,
the
sure.
first 4 seconds is absolute silence because he choked under pressure. He's
Welcome
weak.
to the dojo with Tails and Toast.
We already covered that. But what we didn't cover was what we just watched. Tails, what just happened in the dojo today?
We just watched probably maybe I want to say my third Spike Lee movie of all time.
Your third.
Yeah,
Wow.
that's probably it.
What were the other two?
Or
were we just guessing at 3?
The Sweet Blood of Jesus.
You okay?
And Old Boy.
Yeah, well, the new Old Boy, that was a sleeper because I didn't know that was a Spike Lee joint. But the two that I'm familiar with is White Men Can't Jump and Jungle Fever.
White Man Can't Jump. Is that Woody Harrelson?
Yeah.
I think I've seen some of it, but I don't believe I've seen it all.
Wesley Snipes.
Yeah, yeah. It was probably 90s.
Yeah, he was super popular in the 90s.
Mid-90s maybe.
Yeah. And I don't know if anyone else would agree, but after watching a few of these, I think Spike Lee is like the black folks Quentin Tarantino.
I think I would need to watch a couple more, but with what I've seen, I could see it.
I mean, they don't have any like, $100 plot twist like Tarantino stuff does. I mean, like, especially when it comes to stylistic, like no one has gotten anywhere close to Pulp Fiction, except maybe like Memento when it comes to like that editing style.
Yeah.
But when it comes to just quality of just actual storytelling of movies, I would say, yeah, it's a very, because Quentin Tarantino does a very complex way to tell a very simple story.
Yeah, that's pretty true.
Like Pulp Fiction, what's going on? 2 thugs getting a briefcase from their drug dealer boss. They're trying to get it back. That's the story.
Yeah. There's a whole bunch of side stories going on now.
Right, you have a bunch of subplots and a lot of character development and all that good stuff. But overall, what's the story? You got 2 thugs doing work for a boss, and that's it.
They got their briefcase. But I don't believe we actually mentioned the movie that we just watched.
Not even a little bit.
So we just watched Inside Man.
It's a fantastic film. One of my dad's favorites. One of my favorites.
It was one of those movies that I knew was good, but I just haven't brought myself to watch yet.
Yeah.
And I saw it on a lot of different, top 10 plot twists in movies and everything. And I wouldn't
go. Sorry to interrupt. I wouldn't go as far as saying it's a plot twist.
Yeah, that was like
versus a just good ending.
Yeah, I didn't really get a twist at all. When I had originally heard that it was a plot twist, video or whatever I was watching basically said, you come into this movie thinking it's a bank robbing, and it's really stealing money from the Nazis. And so I was like, okay, that could be a pretty good plot twist. They mentioned that within the first 30 minutes of this movie.
Yeah,
that wasn't a plot twist at all. Like, that when they start getting in there and they get into that safety deposit box, you realize that this has nothing to do with the money. It's stealing from this dude. So that wasn't a plot twist in my opinion.
Well, it was stealing from a dude that couldn't admit what was stolen. And I've that's not an unfamiliar, heist movie where it's like, yeah, I'm going to steal this from him because he can't tell anyone what was stolen. Agreed. So therefore I'm going to get away with it because he's not going to say, oh, so that guy just took my authentic Nazi memorabilia that I earned from the Holocaust. They're like, they stole what? Come this way, Mr. Banker.
Yeah.
That's not. So, but either way, let's go ahead and read the back of the book. In this case, it's going to be a Wikipedia entry. We got Inside Man. It's a 2006 American heist thriller film directed by Spike Lee and written by Russell Gurwitz. It centers on an elaborate bank heist on Wall Street over a 24-hour period. The film stars Denzel Washington as Detective Keith Frazier. That's with a Z, spell it right. The NYPD's hostage negotiator. Clive Owen as Dalton Russell. The mastermind who orchestrates the heist, and Jodie Foster as Madeline White, a Manhattan power broker who becomes involved at the request of the banker's founder, Arthur Case, played brilliantly by Christopher Plummer. I think I'm sleeping on Christopher Plummer. I think a lot of old school people that are into movies, they know how good he is. But I'm just getting to know him being that good because he's old. But I want to see like a 35-year-old Christopher Plummer. I think he'd crush it.
Yeah. I mean, all the movies I've seen him in, he's an old dude.
Yeah. Like All the Money in the World, old dude.
Yeah, it'd be nice to see him as a young dude. See how that goes out. We'll keep that in mind for next time in the dojo.
But that's it. That's the back of the book. So as to what was seen, does that make sense to what was advertised? Yeah. I mean, it was a bank heist. I knew there was going to be stuff in there that was kind of plot twisty, but I mean, it was just good. I think overall, it's just solid. It's just a solid movie.
Yeah.
I'm not going home and I'm not writing home about it. I'm not doing backflips. I'm not motivated to go run and lose weight. But at the same time, I'm just like, that's a fucking solid film.
Yeah, and you finished that movie and you went, that was good.
It was good.
I like that.
It's good.
There's definitely a couple of twists and turns in there, which is a lot of fun to definitely see Spike Lee like pull it all together and how it looks. The writers and everything just throwing in those little eggshells that everybody like,
right?
You know, something that possibly the first time you didn't see.
Now, Frommer's fun fact: I did not know this was a Spike Lee joint when I first saw the movie. I learned afterwards during the credit roll it was a Spike Lee joint. I was like, "Oh shit, for real?" Because it didn't seem Spike Lee-ish, although there was his signature move, the dolly shot.
I feel like it was very out of place in this movie.
It was. The dolly wasn't smooth. You kind of saw him rocking about when he was trying to stay still.
Yeah. I don't know. It wasn't my favorite shot in the movie. I know he likes to do it in films. I've heard on how much he likes to do it in all of his movies pretty much, and I haven't seen very many. But I will say this one seemed ill-timed. And
I don't think it was ill-timed. It was just out of place with the rest of the cinematography. That's just point blank.
Maybe that was it.
Yeah,
but it just didn't feel right.
So the scene we're talking about is after Clive Owen's character.
Hold on. Sorry to interrupt.
What's up?
Before you go any farther, if you haven't seen this movie, it's a watch. Go watch it.
Oh,
come back later.
For sure. Recommended. Solid film. Not wasting your time. You'll be entertained. So,
Don't listen to any farther or you're going to get some major scene spoilers.
Well, for sure. If you're listening to this and you're not expecting spoilers, then you're an R word. You're retarded.
But yeah, right after the hostage gets shot.
Right after the hostage gets shot, you had a very intense scene where Denzel Washington was like storming back to the bank to confront Clive Owen's character, and he gets out of the little headquarters thing, gets on the dolly, and all they do is they just pull the dolly with the camera. It stays static at like 4.5 feet, and you just see the rest of the environment zoom around him. But the dolly was like rocky. It wasn't smooth. Like he was literally just on like a chariot, just holding the dolly.
Honestly, I thought he jumped on a Segway.
I would bet $5 it's the dolly that they use in the opening scene when they get out of that paint truck. You remember that dolly they fold down and they load all the paint with?
Oh, yeah.
$5 the way it's that rocky and wasn't smooth. You know it wasn't on those little train track rails they do.
Oh, yeah.
They were just like, all right, fuck it, just pull the camera.
Steve pulling it from the back, yeah.
But so what do you think about the whole devised plan? So when it comes to bank robbery movies, what do you think made this one unique as to the execution of the robbery? We've seen things like Great Train Robbery, all the Ocean 11s, 12s, 13s, and 8s. I've seen the Italian Job.
I haven't seen the Italian Job, but I do plan on it. What I really enjoyed about this one is it starts off with the bank heist. Like, it doesn't start off with like 40 minutes of like planning and setting it up and everything, and then it just happens. And
it's not establishing characters, it's establishing content.
Yeah, and it goes in and it starts it off.
Very similar to Batman Begins.
Yes, very similar to the very intro to that. I'm not exactly positive on the year that this movie's supposed to be taking place. With some of the context clues and stuff that they mention, you feel like it might be mid-2000s. But then it feels like you were saying earlier, a little 90s-ish.
Well, there's a lot of things in there that I was referring to. I think it was more of a stylistic thing that made me feel it was 90s-ish. And especially with the scenes that involve his girlfriend or his homeboy's fiance.
Yeah.
Like a lot of those things, like the hat he wore was very Dick Tracy. The suit he wore wasn't like a modern suit. It just reminded me, I was like, I'm feeling like he's just giving me 90s and not saying it is 90s.
And that's
but
understandable.
It could just be because it's 2020 and we're looking back at 06 and not realizing that it's fucking 14 years ago.
Shit, that was 14 years ago.
14
fucking years ago, dude.
Jesus.
Yeah, I was still in high school.
I graduated when this came out.
Yeah, I was a freshman.
I saw this in theaters with my dad.
My daddy-o. I don't know, but so yeah, trying to look back 14 years and stuff, I feel like a lot of it was definitely done well. It was simple. The whole heist started simple, which is good. You know, it's I've seen a couple too many where they go in and the heist kind of starts out a little bit too elaborate, and you're like, I feel like 20 people would have fucking said something by now.
Right. I mean, like when it comes to the simplicity of it, you're absolutely right. They lock the door with a bike lock. They take out cameras with infrared lights, and they have guns. That's that's it.
Yeah. Other than that, I thought the whole plan, the whole heist, everything was definitely thought out. And if Clive Owen's the mastermind behind everything, it gives you no information on why he's doing what he's doing or how he's doing so.
Right.
But he definitely thought of a lot. The whole stripping off your clothes, everybody wears the same thing, and then as they were moving hostages around, like inputting some of their guys into the rooms with the hostages and stuff like that. I mean, it was brilliant.
Right, but when they say like, "Oh, this is a perfect robbery," I've thought about this for a long time. They indicated in the lead that he spent 5 years planning this, but when you see it, you're like, how does it take 5 years to say everyone should look the same, and no one should show their face? And if they do show their face, do it in a way that would exonerate them.
I mean, that's true, but then I guess you have to kind of think about what the police are going to do in, retrospect. Like, obviously, the police bugged them, so they had to be, obviously, like, ready for that.
Right.
And, had to be able to detect that. Or
Because he did mention in the movie, he's like, I've read your books. He's like, I know your tactics.
Yeah. And then him bugging them and stuff like that, so maybe they needed to learn some information about how to set up bugs and do stuff like that.
But to that point, I guess, there was a point where in the movie you realize this is not 5D chess. Like there's no like, oh, we're going to try to trick him and we're going to trick him, but I made you think that you were tricking me and then I knew that you thought you knew. Like there was none of that stuff, which I appreciate as an audience member. Like if you're going to complicate things. And they complicated it by introducing Nazis. And you're like, oh shit.
Oh.
The complication came from the story that's not the story.
Yeah.
Which is why I think this is brilliant storytelling because, yeah, it's a bank movie, but it's not a bank movie. It's about the people who got rich in the Holocaust and what they're doing now. So prominent members of society, you're like, wait a minute, how did this 80-year-old guy get all of his millions and billions? Oh, he started a bank. Well, where'd he get all that money? He said it was a secret he's had for 6 years, and he's not super old.
Yeah.
So he was like a 20-year-old guy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So he was 20, and 6 years ago, he's now 80. Mm-hmm. Let's say he was 83 in the movie. He didn't seem like he was pushing 90, but he was over 70. But no 13-year-old is dealing shit with the SS.
I don't know. Maybe he was just a real fucking tight-ass 13-year-old.
Yeah.
But, yeah, the movie had its notorious Spike Lee, just like phrases and commentary and thought behind it. He always brings in the idea of like race and then tries to bring it from different perspectives and stuff. That conversation that Detective Frazier had with the other cop. I'm not remember really what his name was in the movie and
the
stuff
guy
like
that the guy that first called it in.
Yes,
the guy that saw the
first called
smoke.
it in.
Yeah,
and stuff like that.
So you're talking about the scene where he was explaining about the time that he had the first time he had a gun pointed at his face.
At him. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then he brings up the fact of trying to watch what he's saying and stuff like that instead of using the racial slurs. And then you also have Willem Dafoe early on, who's Frazier comes in yo, what's up? I'm the new dude on the court. This is my case now, and he goes, yeah, I don't deal with you.
I don't deal with you. I'm dealing with blah blah blah.
Yeah.
He's well, homeboy's on vacation. Now you're dealing with me.
Yeah. So he brings that in. In this movie, it's very subtle, in my opinion. It wasn't like the other the sweet blood of Jesus. That's the main point of the movie. It's not.
Right. Well, I wouldn't. Yeah, I agree that you're saying it wasn't a focus, that race was that's always a thing.
Yeah.
But he just made it. He made it aware to the audience member that it's always there. It doesn't have to be in your face.
Exactly.
But just a simple slip of saying "spick" instead of Mexican. That's an example of just a racist cop.
Yeah.
And then when he was like, "Hey, could you tone down on the color commentary?" He apologized. He got it. But he was saying, and there was these two African Americans. That's just how it was.
Yeah.
But overall, him and Juatel Ejiofor, his partner, the other detective.
Yeah.
They were being respected the whole time by everyone after it was established that, these guys are the detectives.
Yeah.
And he is the negotiator. Well, then, yes, sir, they open the door, they do this and that, but it wasn't anything outside of just regular professionalism after they were known. Oh, yeah, so these guys are the ones that we need to do things.
Yeah. But it was nice.
Oh, shit, he's an Arab.
Yeah.
He's fucking Arab.
Yeah, I mean, they did bring that one in, too. But he always brings that in, and this one I feel like it was a good one because he brought it in very subtly, and like you said, it might not always be right up in your face, but that doesn't mean it's
not always
there.
Just negative.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah,
the guy wasn't saying this spick held a gun into my chest. He was just saying spick as in that was the word he chose to use to describe Hispanics.
Yeah. But other than that, visually, I really enjoyed some of these shots.
Yeah.
I love some of the shots Spike Lee gets.
A lot of wide shots, a lot of moments, what I call poster pictures. When you're watching a scene and you could freeze frame at any moment in that scene, you could then just make that a poster and put it on your wall. It's just that good.
And I would say that a lot of this movie was filmed in New York. I would say most of it was.
Yeah.
And
I got a good thing on that one.
New York's got such pretty buildings and also interior design that you don't really see a lot. I loved that one where Denzel Washington was walking down the stairs and it was focused straight up and it was that half circle almost. It was just such a pretty shot.
Yeah,
such a pretty shot. I really enjoyed that.
I really like the shot where the Clive Owen's standing in the vault and it's backing up and you hear that music come in and it's he's standing. Once you finish the movie, you realize what that shot really means because he's not there for that, but yet he's basking in the riches and fruits of such tragedy. Yeah. But he's not there to take it or squander it or set it on fire. He's just literally just basking in it. Nope, I don't think that didn't develop the character at all, in my opinion, but I just liked the way that was shot. But to back up a bit, when it comes into New York, the skyline, you never saw the skyline once. You never saw a lot of the architecture in the buildings. It was the brilliance behind this movie when it comes to shooting, in my opinion, is the fact that he got so much accomplished with such little territory. This guy shot essentially on 2 street corners and inside of a building.
Inside of a truck.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's that was it. And all he had was the corner of one building, and the way he did the camera angles on the outside made it seem such a vast thing. But then once you kind of have those top shots when they're putting down the caution tape, you realize it's a 50-foot street.
Yeah, it's just a corner.
It's not even a big city block.
No. The soundtrack, love the soundtrack.
It was good. I didn't recognize anything, but everything that I listened to made sense for what I was seeing.
That's what I think made it fit so well. You know, like I didn't recognize a lot of the
Like
music
the
or
intro
anything.
music, some say
Yeah.
ya.
But I was just like
I
sitting
don't know
there, and I
what
was just
that's
like,
from or where it goes to. It sounds like it should be in a Lion King remix.
but it fit
But
the
it was the intro for
film.
them all showing up about
And
to
then
rob the
I
place.
really loved that when they're like, well, they didn't really kick in the doors. When the doors blew open and all the hostages came out and they started rushing into the place to check it and stuff.
Yeah.
And you had those like trumpets.
Are you talking about at the end?
Yeah, towards
Yeah.
the end. Yeah, when they like going in to clear the place to make sure nobody's in there, and you had those like trumpets blaring at like random intervals. I don't know, that would just fit that scene so well.
Mm-hmm.
I really enjoyed that because it was good ambience music in the background. Definitely brought up the tension a little bit because you're
Mm-hmm.
still at this point, you still don't know where Clive Owen is.
Right. Yeah. Exactly.
So it helped bring that tension to see what was going on. You didn't know, it just like any movie where you have a horror movie and the background music kind of picks up a little bit. Some shit's going down. This picked up a little bit, but nothing ever went down.
Right.
So it's
like
kind of
it made you tense without telling you why you should be.
yeah.
So throughout this movie, you have cutscenes to a construction site, or not a construction site, but a place in the building where they're taking out boxes, they're breaking up concrete,
the
they're
supply
shoveling
room.
shit in that supply room. Thoughts and opinions. I know what's going on, but you asked the question before we started rolling the mics that you didn't know what that was for or what that was. So
I had
elaborate.
one. No, like okay, so they don't bring up or they don't show the fact throughout the entire movie that they're building an extra wall.
Nope.
And like moving it back or moving it forward some so that way he can live between that wall for a week and then therefore escape with everything that they have.
Right. For those of you who don't know, they go into one room and create a false wall for the main guy, Clive Owen, to hide out in while everyone else gets interrogated by the police. He's still staying back and actually sleeping and stuff back there. But then, that's where essentially his monologue starts.
Yeah, that's where the movie started.
Yeah,
In that
where he's
room,
doing
so to
push-ups
say.
and this and that. And you make it think like he's in a dungeon somewhere.
Well, he kind
doing-
of stated that he was in prison, but
No, he was in a cell versus being in prison.
That's true.
But yeah, so what do you think that hole was for?
I have no idea. I'm guessing it's your waste hole. He made a shit pipe.
Right, but
Yeah.
but that's why he made the comment. That's one hell of a shithole, because that's exactly what it was. It was a commode.
Oh, okay.
They dug through 6 inches of concrete and further into the foundation, and then they cut a. They didn't really show them cutting in, but there was a pipe being exposed, and so I think they just cut that open so he would just piss, and then the water would just take it away.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I
But
guess.
yeah, but that was his shithole.
Yeah, I guess like after you just brought it up to me, like, what did you think that was for? I just thought about it. I went, well, he probably took a shit in it, I guess, because if he took a shit in the corner, then it might smell after a
Right.
week. But yeah, that was interesting because throughout the whole movie they dig that hole, and it makes you think that something's going on with that hole.
Mm-hmm.
I really enjoyed that.
Or they're gonna bury the money there or something and come back.
Yeah, or I thought they were just gonna drop the diamonds through the pipe and then go retrieve it in the sewers and shit like that.
Like, what was that? Die Hard? One of the Die Hards was like that?
Yeah, something like that.
Where they're
Yeah.
like, yeah, we flushed $30 billion in gold down a runway,
Yeah,
and
something
they take it at the end of the outspill or something like that.
But so that was a nice little twist.
But again,
right
no
there.
4D chess.
That's true.
What you thought was going to be some 3D, 4D, 5D chess, it was like, nope, they dug that for him to shit and piss in.
I guess at that would be your biggest twist in this movie.
Uh-huh.
Is they focus for about an hour on the fact that they're digging this hole, and even like after they dig the hole and he comes in and says, how much time do we have left? They look in the hole and say about 3 hours. So you're like focused on that hole.
Mm-hmm.
And so when he's behind the wall, you're like, oh, what? Saw it. But I enjoyed it quite a bit. I really did.
Yeah.
I feel like they're... You know what? No, I don't.
You don't what?
Like, I want to say that I feel like there needed to be more wrapped up between Denzel Washington and Clive Owen's character, but maybe not.
How do you mean?
I feel like it was a little odd that Clive Owen basically deters Denzel Washington's character with this guy got rich from Nazis. And it's like, okay, so that's a crime. It's also a 60-year-old crime that is, had really nothing to do with like New York City or anything like that. It's just this dude getting rich. Yeah, he's gonna probably be like slapped on the finger and nobody's gonna like him anymore because he got all his money off of the Nazis. But that seems like a really weak deterrent, in my opinion, for I just like held 50 people hostage, fucked with your mind for like a whole day,
Mm-hmm.
and then you just kind of like, all right, I'm gonna go off on this way.
Yeah,
and like,
you're right.
Not really like focus on that fact. Like at the end, like when he saw that diamond in his pocket and he smiled, like I feel like there should have been more of a, not exactly a smile, not exactly like a, that invisible like fist pump or high five to Clive Owen's character, but more like, so that dude's still out there.
Mm-hmm.
That dude's still out there. He just did this. He just fucked over the whole NYPD for 24 hours and walked out the fucking door like he said he was going to.
Right.
I need to focus on that dude, not focus on the fucking 80-year-old dude who's got rich off of,
Mm-hmm.
Nazi money. I guess that was just kind of weird in my opinion. It's like, it was like giving him a different bad guy so that way he didn't think you were the bad guy. That was just odd in my opinion. So I was thinking that there needed to be a little bit more wrapped up between Clive Owen and Denzel Washington's character, but honestly, if you had anything more, I believe, between them, the movie would either go on for too long,
right,
or not have a good, clear ending to it. And as much as I love cliffhangers, good, clear endings to movies are, nice. I want to be able to finish a movie sometimes and just be like, all right, cool.
Right, because the most egregious thing because it wasn't just the guy made money and got rich off, Nazi whatever he actually did.
Yeah.
It was the fact that it was known that there was a very rich French Jewish family that got shipped off to the Holocaust, but they were rich and prominent, and then that the diamonds that they had were confiscated by the Nazis, and now this guy has them.
Mm-hmm.
So if this family was known to be wealthy and rich, hence that diamond ring that they had, it was like a family thing.
Mm-hmm.
Well, if it got confiscated by the Nazis, then why does this banker have it? Oh, okay, that was part of the payment from the Nazis for whatever services that he provided.
Yeah.
So it wasn't the fact that, oh yeah, he did business with the Nazis. A lot of people did business with the Nazis back then. But if it was in the form of the payment of confiscated Jewish concentration camp victims, then you're like, oh fuck. So my thing is, the real plot twist of this whole thing is that Homeboy, the bank robber, was the actual descendant, because he made it appear that the entire family was killed in the Holocaust. Like, that was essentially the historical record. But in fact, in his 5-year plan was him figuring out that, oh, I'm an actual descendant. Such and such survived. I'm the grandson of the dude, and I figured out my own family's history, and I found out that through these channels you were paid with my family's money, and I'm here to get it back.
Yeah.
Because when he said, like, pay very close attention to what I'm saying, because I'm not going to repeat myself, I really want to, like, read the transcript and then, like, watch and then read the transcript of what he says and then read the transcript of the entire movie and see where those things intercept, because I don't feel like anything that he says during those monologues, if I would have rewatched the movie, because this is like the 8th time I've seen the movie, I've never been like, oh shit, this is why he's doing it, this is that, because he's just a dude. And then even when it says, well, how did you come across this information, he's like, don't worry about it, it's none of your concern.
Yeah. I mean, that gives you a little bit to think on, like, after it's all done and over with. Like, how did Clive Owen know about that? But, you know, there was pretty much an ending to this movie, which was nice. Clive Owen's character got away.
Right.
Scot-free. All of his accomplices did.
Mm-hmm.
And Denzel Washington's off for bigger fish.
Yeah, it was a very usual suspect ending.
Yeah.
Where you had, like, all the players, and then you got introduced to a player that was a part of the heist that you didn't know was a part of the heist until you see everyone in the truck. It was a Jewish guy that he's like, you know anything about diamonds? He's like, oh, I could give you a great deal. I'll give you in touch with my cousin. This and that, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
And so at the end, you see him in the actual car. You're like, oh, so he's the person that's going to then push the diamonds.
Yeah. Definitely
so, like,
made a lot of sense there.
But again, he was the one that asked, like, where's the ring? So obviously they all knew why they were there. However, like, none of the people besides the Jewish guy seemed like they were Jewish. I think Clive Owen maybe.
I don't know.
Jewish, acts like as an individual he might be Jewish, but it didn't seem like 4 Jews robbed a Nazi. I didn't get that flavor.
No, I didn't get that feeling. And like, you have early in the movie they like
seemed like
speak
pinstripe mayonnaise
Russian
motherfuckers.
Yeah. Early in the movie they like speak Russian and have like a Russian accent, and then they fool the cops with what was that? Albanian like speech and stuff like that. So there was a lot of
a lot of ethnic misdirection.
Yeah, a lot of ethnic misdirection. Sorry about that. Yeah, but I guess with the way that the detectives were like questioning people and everything, I guess I wanted Denzel Washington's character to have more of that fucking I got you like part. He questioned all those people so hard and like grilled them, and you know,
I like the way they would interrupt themselves and be like, Steve?
Yeah. Or just anything
Stevie?
like that. Or just asking the Jewish guy about the diamonds and stuff. Like, he was pushing in information here and there to try and get a reaction. And even though that these guys were professionals and didn't give, you know, any hint, I guess, I wanted Denzel Washington's character to, like, at the end, after he pulled that diamond out, to have, like, the fucking 3 photos of the Jew, the 4 photos
the people
of
who he thinks what was in it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like next to his bed or like lay him out of his pocket or something.
Right.
Because then you would be like, that motherfucker's good.
Right, because even at the end when Jodie Foster's character goes back to the bank owner, it was like, well, he's smart, he's clever, he's figuring shit out that we did not want him to know. But however, like, but to your point, when they were asking, all right, who do you remember? I was standing next to this guy was in front, this chick had big tits, I liked her a lot, and such and such and such and such. I wish they would have did like a link analysis and be like, these 4 people have not been identified as individuals that they saw in line.
Oh, like in line before the bank heist.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
So like if you can't have any testimony saying that they were in line, however there is testimony saying that they were seen as a hostage,
Yeah.
you could then put 2 to 2 together, then get at least some 3D chess going on.
Yeah. So I guess I was expecting a little bit more of that coming from, you know, this detective who's like trying to, you know, brush off his shoulders from like some shit that we don't even know about, you know, a whole bunch of money going missing, and they're like blaming him for it and shit. So
Right.
he's really trying to prove himself.
Which is interesting from Jodie Foster's character, because when she gets introduced, she's helping this one guy who looks a little greasy do something, and then it gets interrupted with the conversation by a call from Arthur Case.
Well,
And then she
didn't
takes
she
it.
state that greasy dude was Bin Laden's son buying
Nephew,
a
yeah.
condo, or nephew buying a condo or
no,
something?
Saddam Hussein's nephew to buy a flat and some, yeah.
I don't know if that was what she was talking about or if that was just like
Probably.
a jab.
Yeah, he didn't look.
I wasn't really paying attention at the
Yeah.
time because it was just kind of one of those scenes that went
Clive
pretty
Owen
quick.
told you to pay close attention, so why didn't you follow directions?
I'm really bad at following directions.
Clearly.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, go ahead.
Oh, so, but when it comes to, like, the ethnic misdirection, I liked it. Like, for example, I think he knew if he put the Sikh guy out there, they would then focus on the Muslim terrorist attack. Because, again, this is 2006, so 9/11 already happened. But then him putting the Sikh out there, but with the thing strapped to his chest, like that was like very race baity.
Oh yeah.
And it worked.
Oh yeah, perfectly. I think the idea was to get them to not exactly focus on the fact that they're not. He's not just giving them a piece of paper this time.
Yeah, but however, when you look at like the overall, I guess this is more of like this is going away from the ethnic part, but going into the execution of the robbery. When those guys come out with guns and they're out so far away from the door to like let other people out, I'm like, they would just immediately been shot. Like, to make it more, to sell it more, I would have, the hostage or someone who appears to be a hostage, like the people actually doing the robbery, to go out there, but with no gun.
Yeah.
And then act scared. And then come back in. But they're just going out, boom, with their fucking big old AK-47 being like, back the fuck up. And then they let a guy out, and then they go back in. It's like, no. You're not going to, like, you're 4 feet away from a police officer pointing an AK-47 at him. You're not going to just stand there.
Yeah.
And then nothing happened and go back in.
Yeah, that was a little bit strange, but then I guess they are figuring the fact that, like, if they do this, then they're going to go kill people. And
right.
I mean, let's just say the first dude came out and said there's 4 of them in there, and then the next dude gets brought out by 3 of them. Wouldn't you have at least shot all 3 of those dudes, and then you'd only have to deal with 1 dude?
Yeah.
But I don't really know. I mean, obviously you wouldn't have made the movie if that was the case. You know what I mean?
But when
the second hostage comes out
when,
and just
like
lose
that's the
everybody.
only thing that was like overly Hollywoodized was the way the robbers interacted with the police officers.
Yeah.
And one of the things I wouldn't say this is a plot hole, but one of the things I noticed when it comes to the evidence is that none of the hostages were forced to wear glasses. They all had sleep mask things to keep them blind, but all the bad guys had glasses. And so if they found the glasses, then they could run the DNA on the folks with glasses because all the hostages didn't have glasses. So why do I see 4 sunglasses in here and 53 eye masks? Obviously, the sunglasses were worn by the bad guys. If there was just a tiny scene where the guy gets out and he hands over the bag to the Jewish guy and he's looking at the diamonds, if he would have seen those 4 sunglasses, like, oh yeah, he kept the evidence. I'd have been like, now that's 4D chess. He did fucking think all this shit through.
Yeah.
Because they were wearing gloves. There was no DNA and all the stuff. But, like, even when it comes to, like, another little mishap of like reality, the Hollywood stuff, when they're tossing the gun around, like, oh, it's fake. They're all touching the gun with no gloves.
Yeah.
And they run it for prints and like, well, what are you going to expect? Fucking 8 people just handled this thing.
Yeah.
With no gloves, and it's just it's bullshit Hollywood.
Same with the whole, like fake killing, like shirt and stuff with the blood pumps. Obviously, one of the people probably.
I love that scene.
Oh, where he's like in the bathroom.
He's like, he calls me like, "How's your cameras?" What? He's like, "Yeah, focus on the second floor, east side." I was like, "Oh shit, shit's getting real."
But in the end, when they find the blood pump and stuff, you know that one of the like hijackers or heist people fucking used that pump. It's not like they were forcing another person to get a pump. So that pump was perfect evidence of like running fingerprints or anything like that. You know what I mean?
Or even on the inside of it to see if a hair fell off.
Yeah, anything. I mean, I don't know how it was being worn or whatever, but somebody had to have pumped that. You know what I mean? Like they show it at the end where he pushes it and the blood shoots out. Somebody had to have done that. Mm-hmm. And do you really think that they were gonna fucking put a hostage down under there?
No, because they wouldn't have faked being hit at the time. They, if I'm squeezing it, then I know when the blood's coming out, so I can be like, okay, and shot.
So, I mean, that was DNA right then and there. Mm-hmm. And that was most likely DNA from one of the 4 people who they had in custody.
Right.
So they would have been able to get that person.
One of my favorite scenes, just to segue to something completely different, was in the intro scene where they're saying if you're a bank employee, get on this side, everyone else on that side. And get on everyone's phones, and they go to the last guy on the left, Peter Hammond. But the way that she doesn't say anything, the female bank robber just puts her hand in front of his chest and then signals, and then says this guy here, because they practice that procedure. Like, if you find anyone suspicious, back up, put your hand in front of them, signal to me, and we'll go on. Like, hey man, where's your cell phone? I left it at home.
I love that.
Did you really? I want you to think very carefully that Peter Hammond tried to do this and tried to do that, and he failed a brilliantly planned bank robbery by lying about his fucking cell phone.
And the whole methodical, like, going through the bag.
When he goes to the bag, he's like,
find
the bag. Oh, yeah, he goes to the bag.
Oh, that was brilliant. Because at first, I was kind of like sitting there like, what's he doing? And then, like, after, like, he closed the first phone, I went, I know exactly what he's doing.
Right.
And it was brilliant.
When he calls, yeah.
Yeah.
She gave me money when I'm in need.
So, yeah, I really like that. And then...
when he goes in that office and, like, contemplates, he's like, oh, yeah, I told him this and that, so what should I do? I don't know. All right, fine, fuck it. Boom, and just like beats the brakes off of him. I love it.
I love
those
the windows
four stomps and everything.
I love the window because it was like you could see almost everything, but it was just slightly blurry and stuff. Mm-hmm. And so, yeah, like you said, he's in there. He's just like, you see a couple of hand gestures. Like, you're just like,
I told him, I gave him a second chance. He still lied. God damn it! How do I do? I need to make a point.
Yeah.
I need to make a point. I don't want to do this. He's making me do this. This is not my fault. I'm here for what I'm here for. God damn it, people! All right, you know what? Fuck it. Bang.
Other than the, like, squirrely looking dude on the squad, other than being like, looked at by the detectives and stuff and being interrogated, did the other two, did the Jew, or the other three, sorry, did the Jew, the lady, or the kind of like stone face looking guy, did they kind of like do anything important? Because, like, the squirrely dude kind of has that whole, like, I'm not going to wear my mask and everything. He made that scene so everybody would remember him.
Mm-hmm.
So that made sense. He was there. People remembered him for almost getting them killed. That was a way for them to put him into the, all the hostages and stuff like that.
Not the regular dude, but the girl, yes. There was a scene where they're shuffling people around, and then the guy... regular looking dude. She doesn't
really do,
because remember she hands her his gun. She starts crying.
Yeah, I remember that.
And then they grab the one other chick,
putting her in there, and I was kind of like, when I first saw that, I was like, oh, she's gonna like kind of pay attention to what they say while they're eating pizza and shit like that. It's kind of what I thought. And then later on, I realized like, oh, okay, he's just trying to like interrupt or like kind of put his people with the hostages, so the hostages know or think that his people are part of the hostages. Like, I realized what he was doing by, like, shuffling them.
Mm-hmm.
But other than the squirrely-looking dude, the other three didn't really have, like, a moment where you saw them as a hostage.
Okay. It wasn't clear. So, like, the clear one was a squirrely dude, and then the not-so-clear one was the female, but then I don't remember the regular-looking dude being...
Yeah, I don't remember.
But then, of course, the Jewish guy pushing the diamonds, he was there as a customer. So he was, like, there to be seen and known, but also in line.
Yeah.
But he didn't work at the bank, did he? Was he the inside man? Because I don't know why it was called Inside Man, besides the fact that Clive Owen was a man inside the bank. It didn't, because usually the inside man is referring to being fucked from the inside. So who was the inside man for this operation? You picking up what I'm putting down?
No, I know exactly what you're putting down because I was thinking about it the whole time. And really, at the end, the thought that I got at the very end was the inside man was Jodie Foster.
Pray tell.
I just, at the end when she was talking to the old dude, now, not that she would have exactly had information about the Nazi stuff, but she seemed to fucking be a baller, okay? Like,
Falling out of control.
She got the information she wanted when she wanted it, you know what I mean? And that was just how it was. But, like, when she was talking to him and she was like, he's going to hold on to the piece of paper and he's just going to come and, if he asks for anything, he's going to fuck you with it, basically. And, like, she was just telling him how it was.
Right.
But I was just kind of wondering at the end. I was like, Other than when Clive Owen made out with the chick in the car,
Yeah.
I almost thought that Clive Owen was like Jodie Foster's boy, like dude.
I see what you're saying.
For some, like just
It would have made sense.
yeah, I could have
If
felt
at
that.
the end it was Jodie Foster being a power broker came across this information and then ordered the plan and utilized Clive Owen to be like, hey, guess what I found out? This dude and that dude and this dude did all this. He has a safety deposit box. It's unnamed. It's off the books. If we rob it, we can hold this shit over his head, and he can't file insurance for it. It's all, it's just diamonds it's blood diamonds,
Yeah.
and no one's gonna want to touch them.
I kind of got that feeling close, like towards the end, especially that scene where she's talking to him in the barbershop and basically saying, like, he basically just said, fuck off. Like, what are you going to do about it? And, like, I just got that scene where she took the money and he was all upset about it and everything. She just seemed too self-satisfied for a failed job.
Right. Well, maybe she's just comfortable with the fact that the Nazi did kind of get fucked over.
That's a possibility because she
Because
was
he did
making
make
that
the
whole
statement.
joke.
She's like, yeah, I did some things that weren't necessarily super, super kosher, no pun intended, but the Nazis paid well. And then he hands her the check and she takes it.
Yeah.
So it's, in fact, yes, they do because they just did.
Yeah, because you're still paying well.
Right.
And then, like, she kind of pokes fun at him, like, saying that she's putting his name down for, like, signing.
Yeah. I'm using you as a reference.
A reference, yeah. So, I don't know. I just kind of got that feeling for a little bit there. I was just like, I wonder if Jodie Foster's got more into this than, like, they show. Which
they never alluded to, like, her sources. Like, how did she get the information about the investigation off of Denzel Washington's character about the missing 140,000? She's like, I can make it go away.
She knows
I'm
these
like,
things.
Okay.
That's what I'm saying. Like, she was controlling the mayor.
Right.
She was basically manipulating the mayor multiple times.
And then was having lunch with them afterwards.
Yeah. After he said, we're done after this, and obviously you're not because
Clearly.
she's got her claws in. But, so, I don't know. I just kind of felt like she had a little bit more to her backstory possibly than you would think. She's a power broker, but then also in her, like, lobby and everything, you saw a lot of antiques in there.
What does that even just mean?
A power broker? I ain't got a fucking clue. Apparently you just rule people.
Yeah, but, like, I'd like to know, like, if I wanted to get into the power broking business, like, what is that even into? Like, how did that even become a thing? Because I know you've always heard the adage, it better be the kingmaker than the king. Mm-hmm. That's what a power broker, since that's their manifesto. Yeah. Is to make kings and then get the favor of kings, and therefore you have the power of 8 kings instead of being a king.
Yeah. I don't know. I just, with her flat and everything, which obviously she's huge, she's big money and everything, but very artistic flat and everything, so maybe she had, like, a history or a culture of, like, antiques and stuff, so it kind of made me start thinking, like, maybe she was in on this. Mm-hmm. It was a possibility. Obviously, we don't really know.
Right.
Which is fine. It gives us speculation. I guess if you told me earlier that it was a really rich, wealthy French family that he, like, screwed over and has the rings and diamonds. So are you stating that there might be, like, a piece of paper somewhere saying, like, this ring belonged to this, like, everybody, he left that ring there to, like, ask questions, but who the fuck's gonna tell him, like, oh yeah, that's that ring. I know exactly. This ring was lost fucking 90 years ago. Or, not really, like, fucking 60 years ago in the Holocaust. Like, how would you track that ring unless there was, like, some sort of significance to it?
Right. I mean, it didn't come with, like, certificate of authenticity.
No, and it didn't look like it was, like, a big band or anything where, like, somebody possibly had a inscription in it.
It wasn't anything engraved. It was just a big-ass diamond on a very plain gold band.
So, yeah, I guess in my question, like, other than, the dude who owned the ring, who the fuck's gonna tell you? But then at the end he says something about war antiquities or something.
War crimes
or something like that.
Well, there was a big pushback. If you've ever heard, there was a movie it was like something about like the art, but there
Monument Men?
the Monuments Men, yeah, and they were going over stolen art from World War II that was confiscated by the Nazis. A lot of it actually ended up in the Vatican.
Yeah.
You're like, what? But there you go, Catholics. But yeah, so I think if you were to, like, those people would know what's up and what was missing because that family, being as balling and out of control they were, they'd be like, yeah, there's this. And, like, there's probably a picture of it. There was still video back then. So, like, knowing of, like, the family ring of this one family, yeah, it went missing. Like, it wouldn't say it went missing. They just know that all these people died. So, therefore, their stuff belongs somewhere.
Yeah.
It wasn't just rolled over in a ditch or buried in a mass grave. Like, all that shit was confiscated. But it's like, how much, like, even if he had all those diamonds, it's like, you can't convince me that the guy's now a billionaire by making a bunch of money off of like the Holocaust victims, and then show me a safety deposit box full of probably $800 million worth of diamonds. And it's like, well, then he didn't spend that money. It would make sense if he had like a shitload of diamonds and then only has like 80 like 20% left. But you can't show me a fuckload of diamonds that he's never spent.
I guess that just proves that he did a lot of dealings.
Are you see what I'm saying? Like, if he had that much diamonds left in one little dinky safe deposit box that he's had since it was never opened.
I guess the only thing you could maybe think is like he had some sort of like sense of moral or like sadness that his friends, because he stated that he knew them, the French people.
Oh, yeah,
he said he knew
nothing.
them,
yeah,
and he did nothing. So maybe that was like his
memento.
I wouldn't. Yeah, memento, but one of those. Not exactly a memento, because I feel like the word memento is something you look back on fondly.
Mm-hmm.
And this was probably more one of those things that he would like look down in disgrace on. Like, my friend, I just like let my entire friend's family and him fucking die because they paid me a whole bunch of money for it.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe he didn't want to spend them because of that reason. I don't really know. I do know what you mean though. Like, had he become so rich, but yet all of his money is like right here in the safety deposit box in diamonds.
Well,
like,
again,
where'd the rest of it go?
To kind of elaborate on that speculation, what did he do that was worth that much diamonds? So if I'm the Nazi people,
I would say he gave up that family.
I'm gonna give you.
He gave them that family.
I'm gonna give you probably a glove compartment full of diamonds. What to me is worth a glove compartment full of diamonds?
I mean, the only thing I could
you see what I'm saying? Like,
no,
like what the fuck did you do?
The
that's
only thing I
worth
could possibly like think or anything
a
is
baseball glove full of diamonds.
Obviously, you're talking about the Nazis and stuff like that, and they want to take down power. They wanted to prove that their power was, better and stuff. So if a really big, powerful French family was given to the Nazis,
right,
then
and that was his cut.
That was his cut. That was basically like, he's like, look, I'll help you take down this powerhouse over here in France, but I get their shit. I don't really know. It's a possibility. It's also speculation. I mean, he was a 20-year-old fucking with the Nazis and getting paid big bucks. So, but
it didn't allude to what the banker's guy's ethnicity was, going back to race. Like, he wasn't like a Jew that sold out his own Jew friends. He didn't seem like he was of German descent, like an actual Nazi. And he didn't seem like he was a Frenchman. Like, nothing that I saw of his character made me think other than just an English
Where
dude.
did they say that he opened up his first bank?
In New York.
No, they said he had one overseas, I thought, before he came over.
No, that was his very first one. He's like, this is your baby. This is your first bank that you, like, with all the money that you made working with the Nazis, this is where you started. This is your first branch.
Oh. I thought they said they started, he had something over in a different country, which is why he was dealing with the Nazis, but I could have been wrong. I don't know. It gives you some things to think about. The movie's about 2 hours and 4 minutes long.
Yep. Didn't seem like it. Kept my attention the entire time.
Yeah, doesn't feel like it.
Nope.
Definitely keeps your attention, keeps you going and stuff. To bring another Spike Lee movie and to play, the Sweet Blood of Jesus is fucking 27 hours long, and it seems like it takes 7 months. So I don't know. I fully enjoyed this movie.
Who was it written by?
Who was it written by? I don't know who wrote this movie.
It was directed by homeboy. Written by Russell Gewirtz. Gewirtz.
Russell
Gewirtz? Russell Gewirtz?
I don't know. What else has he done?
I don't know. Let's move the mouse and find out.
But definitely, after watching this, I definitely give some more Spike Lee movies a chance.
That was it. This is the first thing he's best known for, his screenplay for Spike Lee's Inside Man.
I just said he's best known for it. There's just films right there.
Degree in computer science. Let's do filmography. Righteous Kill. Oh, he did that in 2008. But that was it. He's did it Television, Blind Justice, Inside Man, and then Righteous Kill, and that is it.
Yeah, he's not done
according
a lot.
to the peds.
But I definitely give some more Spike Lee's movies a chance, and go from there. It's
so of Spike Lee's films, starting in '86, She's Gotta Have It, School Days, Do the Right Thing, Mo Better Blues, Jungle Fever, Malcolm X. Yeah, Jungle Fever, see Malcolm X, Crooklyn, Clockers, Girl 6, Get on the Bus, He Got Game. Yep. He Got Game is a fascinating one. Are you familiar with that one?
Is that what?
He Got Game?
No.
He Got Game is about really corruption and influence, and then also the African-American family. So Denzel Washington is in jail for whatever he's in jail for. His son, however, is a prominent basketball player in the hood. The college that wants to recruit him goes to the police commissioner and the warden of the school or of the jail and says, hey, we'll give you a deal. You convince your son to go to this school and we'll let you out.
Huh.
So that's He Got Game. That's a story that I haven't heard and I couldn't make up on my own. And so Denzel Washington gets out on early parole, starts trying to bond with his son. Of course, now it's an estranged fatherhood, but then you get this whole dynamic of father-son being black in the hood. What do you really do with talent? And then you have this, he's essentially being a spy and then trying to coerce and convince his son to go to a school to play ball in order to in order to serve himself.
Yeah.
Instead of seeing that, oh, my son's, he's made it, he's off the street, he's not doing drugs, he's a successful basketball player, he can go to any school he wants to, but yet he's taking that opportunity and making it about himself. So that's fucking fantastic. Bamboozled is a fascinating one. I think this one's been like blackballed, but Bamboozled is about like the exploitation of blackface. And then, so the movie, I'm not really sure what the movie's about, but I know what's going on. And it's about black actors in blackface doing the blaxploitation about the exaggerated characteristics of African Americans. So instead of white people in blackface acting black and then doing all the blue, we eat watermelon, fucking chicken, big dicks and jungle disc, blue, booga booga, it's black people doing it. So like they're reclaiming and then reinterpreting their own stereotypes. And it's fucking fascinating. I haven't seen the movie, but I just remember that commercial where he's like, so you want to make white people and turn them black? And he's like, no, I want to make black people and make them blacker. I was like, oh, fuck. It was crazy stuff. Moving on. 25th Hour, never heard of it. She Hate Me, never heard of it. Inside Man, Miracle at St. Anna.
He actually did a Disney movie? Miracle at St. Anna is
Walt Disney Studio Motion Picture.
Walt Disney Studios.
All right, so he did The Sweet Blood of Jesus after Old Boy? And then Chirac. I remember Chirac being the documentary, then Black Klansman, and Da 5 Bloods.
I hear Da 5 Bloods is really good. Honestly, I liked the American Old Boy version. I thought it was good.
Uh,
Oh, I know
uh,
the cover. I know the cover of Miracle at St. Anne's. Yeah.
Saint Anna. Oh, that
Anna,
was the
sorry.
one. The Italian one.
Mm-hmm.
Cioccolato Gigante. I like that one. I know that was Spike Lee.
I didn't either. Yeah.
Jesus Christ, this guy's a sleeper.
Does Sweet
So,
Blood of Jesus
so what's
just don't.
so what's
I don't know.
Spike Lee's-ness with war?
How old's Spike Lee?
Uh, Spike Lee is da 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 da
I'm gonna say that.
57.
So he's
So
in his
he's
60s.
60s.
So that means he really kind of went through, I guess, the Cold War and then like
Well,
Vietnam.
he was
and,
8 in Vietnam.
Yeah.
So I mean, he was born
I don't
57.
know. Maybe he just that's
Yeah, he was 10 when Vietnam was a thing.
yeah.
It's
Maybe
like he
that's
wasn't
just
in
something
Vietnam.
that he.
It's just like recently when you look at The Five Bloods, it's about the war. Or it's about shit that happened in Vietnam, and the guys are going back being like, hey man, remember that time we buried fucking $100 million in gold bars in the jungles of Vietnam? Yeah, okay, cool, let's go back and get it.
I don't know.
But then you got like Chirac, that's, the reason why it's Chicago and then Iraq as one word, but it's about how more people died by gunfire in Chicago than died in combat in Iraq. And then like Miracle at St. Anna is the same thing. Inside Man, you could argue that that's
Definitely a
political movie
war-ish flick. What's 25th Hour?
by Buena Vista Pictures. 25th Hour. Is that homeboy Edward Norton? Yeah.
That is Homeboy Edward Norton.
It tells the story of a man's last 24 hours of freedom as he prepares to go to prison for 7 years for dealing drugs.
Okay, so not about war.
Yeah. Either way, I mean, overall impressions, what does it get on the toast meter? It's been in the toaster. It's warm. It's hot. We put butter on it. Maybe. I don't know. Was it underdone, overdone, or is it golden brown?
I want to say it's pretty, like, all around a solid film. Very few, like, problems I had with it. I'm going to go, if the perfect toast meter is a 5, I'm going to say a 4. I want to say it's a little underdone.
Little underdone.
Little underdone.
So like golden brown, but not to the edges.
Yeah. Really, honestly, there's not a lot I can point out on why.
Mm-hmm.
I would say it's underdone more than overdone. I don't think he went over the top with almost anything. I felt like it was pretty smooth sailing.
Yeah.
It didn't seem like there was nothing really pushed down my throat in this one, or what I thought was overdone, or recap. Do you know what I mean? So I'd say, if anything, it's about a 4.
Give it a 4.
Yeah. A solid flick. I'd recommend it to people, and I'd probably watch it again. What do you think?
I agree. Yeah, I wouldn't say it's a golden brown with sugar and cinnamon, but it was 100% a solid film. I love the cinematography. The lighting was good. Although when it was super dark, usually when it's a dark scene, they add some light to it so you can just tell that it is dark, but maybe it could just be the way the TV settings were. But like when it was dark, everything was washed out. But I did like during the interrogation, they turned up the saturation so it looked like it was from like a memory or something.
Yeah.
They clearly made it visually different between what you saw and then how the interrogation scene was. Why they did that, to me, just seemed like this was like it didn't give me like, oh, this is the present because it's shot in this way, and this is the past and this shot in that way, like how they did in Inception.
Yeah.
With all the different color schemes for the layers of consciousness. But there was just a clear distinction in the cinematography between the actual heist and then the interrogation. But there was no third version. There wasn't like, oh, this is the reality of the past. They didn't actually show what he did. They just alluded to this guy made money in the Holocaust, so he's a piece of shit. Like they didn't do that
or
at all.
anything like that. No.
So, but yeah, I mean, I agree. It's good. It's delicious toast. You know, it does need some butter. It needs a couple more seconds in the toaster, but out of that, Spike Lee, bravo. Clive Owen, you crushed it. Denzel Washington, great. When at the end scene, when he has that diamond ring and he shows him it with his middle finger, he's like, I'm gonna look into this. I'm looking at this. Yeah, you remember this? Yeah, it's off the book. So technically, it's not stolen. It's not registered as your property. But now, you know, I'm gonna look into this. But like, in that scene where he's like, he's saying like, so we got a bank robber, hold a bunch of hostages, a couple people hurt, but nothing's stolen. They go into a safety deposit box that doesn't exist all the way back to the 40s. He's like, so what the fuck happened? I mean, I love like that scene where he's there. He just says it so comfortably that you can tell. Then even after that, when Jodie Ejiofor and they're walking back, you're like, yeah, I've never seen someone put a foot so far up someone's ass.
Yeah.
And he's just laughing. You can tell that was just a genuine laugh.
Oh yeah.
From Denzel Washington. He's like, yeah, man, that's a good point. I fucking did crush it there, didn't I? Like, you can just tell that you just had, you know, the characters weren't being characters. They were just, the one guy was just speaking like, hey man, you did a great job in that scene. He's like, yeah, man, I fucking told that motherfucker what's up.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah, I think everybody crushed it in this movie.
But I like going back and like, again, this movie's 14 years old. Like Jodie Ejiofor, you know, is in a lot of stuff, but I did not know who the fuck he was when I saw this movie. No, he was just the black guy playing alongside Denzel Washington. Jodie Foster's Jodie Foster.
Yeah, we all know her.
I mean, we all know her since fucking, what was the Taxi Driver?
Yeah.
I mean, but then like Christopher Plummer, everyone knew who Christopher Plummer was when this movie came out. But there was a lot of things, a lot of folks in there that did very, very well that I haven't seen since. But, you know, put them on screen and they did great. Oh. And that's what I liked about the credits. They give a lot of like main focus on a lot of the auxiliary characters. The seat guy had a solid 4 seconds with his own name. You know, the big tit chick that was in line, she had her own. Like there was a lot of people that you forgot were in the story that moved the story along that all got their own independent. Again, but again, that's where it goes to how he was able to use so much with so little, because it was like a corner block in the inside of a bank. And but yeah, it was good. You know, bravo guys, great job.
I thoroughly enjoyed it.
All right, man. Well, with that, you want to fade to black and roll credits?